Hey,
Yo, welcome. So we were
first draft.
back at the First Draft podcast. We got
Yes.
some interesting developments today. Fred, Blanca, Chris here again. Weird turn of events. Trump was apparently shot again, or attempted to have been shot again today. We're gonna cover this a little bit, and we got a couple other segments for you. This is really strange what just happened. We were preparing for a different kind of topic, but we're going to change it on the fly. This is what the summary of what just happened, what it is. So, as of the latest updates, authorities have not officially revealed a motive for. I don't know if we want to say this guy's name on air.
Yeah, we need to. You should say his name on air. Why not?
Okay. Ryan Wesley Ralph's attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. He was arrested after being spotted near the West Palm Beach golf course with an AK-47 style rifle equipped with a scope and a GoPro camera. Investigators are examining the footage from the GoPro and other evidence, including backpacks found at the scene, to uncover his intentions. He fled the scene but was later apprehended on I-95. His actions are still under investigation, and it remains unclear whether his attempt was ideologically motivated or stemmed from personal reasons. Obviously, this is the second assassination attempt on President Trump in recent months, intensifying concerns about security.
Well, he
Very
did make
strange.
comments
What do you guys
on
think?
a social media account that denounced Trump's treatment of the victims of his first assassination attempt.
Okay.
So maybe that's part of his
He
motivation.
being the shooter.
He being the shooter. Ryan Ralph. I don't know. His comments didn't really make much sense to me. I mean, I guess it made sense
To him.
but not to me. So I don't know if that's going to be pulled in as a discovery of his motive.
It could be.
He voted for Trump, though. He's a former, I think that should be
In
clarified.
2016,
In 2016, yeah.
Sure.
but not in 2020.
No.
Yeah. I mean, this is actually coming out. All this information about this guy was released an hour ago, maybe an hour and a half ago. So this is kind of still breaking. We don't really know too much more about this. Images have been released. He seems to be in his 50s or so.
Do we know his exact age? Does it say it in
I
that
was
summary?
thinking that he was in his 20s for some. Oh, probably because
No,
of the
it's-
first guy. Well, he's in his 50s, regardless.
50s.
That's
I don't
older.
have a
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all we need.
perhaps.
Where did this happen? What
This was
city?
in the Trump International golf course.
So it was at one of a Trump-owned golf course then?
Like
I think it was at his own
in
golf
Florida?
course.
Yeah, in Florida.
I know that our friend,
Wow.
not our friend, but Charlie Kirk on Twitter, he did mention, this is a significant, I don't know about his reporting or anything like that, but he did mention earlier, I thought it was significant that this golf outing was not on the public schedule. That could be refuted here soon. We don't know. It's still breaking. Once again, we're just covering this just as it is. So, I don't know.
I guess my only question is, do people think that it's a radical individual that's behind this, or is it something that's group motivated? Which I think both sides probably think about. Like the Republicans probably think that the Democrats are putting people up to do it. The Democrats think it's a conspiracy theory and it's being used as a tool to maybe pump up his vote after the debate. And it's like, it's weird how both sides could see it different ways. And
I mean,
I don't
just
know.
right off top, I'd say it's just that guy.
That's what I believe.
Yeah. I think there
I
should
would
be
agree with you completely.
I think there should be an investigation into
Right.
what medications he was on, I think that's relevant to these cases. That seems to be a pattern in a lot of these, and a lot of people who decide to, when these people do this kind of stuff, it's kind of like they forfeit their lives because they know they're going to get caught.
Well, I mean, he
It's
had a
high-profile
GoPro. He had a
stuff, and he has a GoPro.
so
It's
he was
like,
going to film whatever he was going to do. That's direct evidence.
So,
it's
what
like,
medications are you on? First of all, I think that should be questioned. And
What's
who's
your,
who's your therapist?
do you have a
Who's your therapist?
do you have a
Who's
mental
your medical professional?
diagnosis? Do you have
Yeah.
a mental diagnosis? Like I believe that anyone who attempts something like this is deranged. But if someone has like a history of schizophrenia, a historical, like a diagnosed mental health issue, then they're just certifiable. But really, anyone that does something like this is deranged.
I agree. I don't necessarily think that there's always a conspiracy behind the random act of an individual. And maybe it's not random by their definition because they planned it out, but I mean random in regards to the rest of us and how we make everyday decisions as quote normal individuals.
Yeah.
But the sensationalization of the news and the media also could contribute to a person's
mental illness,
thought pattern, that especially someone that is already not right, whether they're diagnosed or not. You don't have to be diagnosed. You still could be a schizophrenic, but I don't mean to pick on schizophrenia, but like,
that's okay.
I don't even like whatever other medical condition. So the sensationalization could already be affecting them. And then at that point, like, we as a society can take a little bit of responsibility for how we're delivering the news, and how we're sensationalizing it, knowing that there are people out there that have really defective or diseased, I don't even know if that sounds right, minds, or are easily influenced by anything and everything.
I mean, I'll give an anecdotal side. One thing that I did, I know it affected my mental health because I do suffer from slight bouts of anxiety. I don't watch local news anymore. Like I used to watch local news every day, and for sure it contributed to like being anxious. Like I would look at all these things happening and it kind of distorted the reality of what was going on. Like once I put my feet on the ground, like you can almost world build based upon the news and not actually stepping into reality. And that can be scary, especially if somebody has a more serious mental health diagnosis, like where they're completely detached from reality. Like that's, like, so you're already building a falsehood on top of another, or not saying that all news is false, but it sensationalizes certain things, and it's not necessarily every specific component that exists in the real world,
Right. But even if the news is delivered in like a very matter-of-fact way, someone who is who may be in a place in life to have a mental breakdown, like a break with reality, or who has a mental, which could happen to any one of us, who has a diagnosed or undiagnosed mental condition, could interpret, that matter-of-fact information completely differently.
I agree.
So even if, but it does warrant us looking at what are we doing as a society to not give tools, or not give, weapons to people that would use them against others and themselves. Because people like this who do things like this, they're really like, they're doing it, they're against others, but they're also doing it against, they're destroying their own lives.
Yeah, that's what he just said. You're forfeiting your own life.
Right.
And what if, I'm sure at 54 he probably has some type of family. I'm not necessarily saying he has a wife or kids, but the probability of it is probably very high
too. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's this particular incident begs the question of these particular phenomena and how much they are how much of the news contributes to these people's impetus to or perpetrate these acts of violence. Like it's unknown now exactly how much he was influenced. I think a reasonable person though could surmise that, yeah, like someone had to convince this person. Like, there's no way you just.
Well, he probably convinced himself, right? It wasn't probably
I don't know,
somebody
but
beating an ideology in his head.
where do people get their information from? Like, just like their epistemology. Where does their epistemology come from? Where does their
I get
knowledge
that.
base come from?
I
Like,
get
where is
that.
he drawing his knowledge base from to get him to commit these acts? Or even the previous person, which we still don't really know much about that individual from our episode 1. I think it's a really good question, because these people have. Is it just deranged mental illness, or is it orchestrated, or is it directed towards a certain outcome?
I don't think
Or
that.
I don't think it is either.
I agree with her. I think
I don't think
it's
it is either.
yeah.
Yeah.
I really think that they need to consider wokeism and conspiracy theory. Like, when all you think is in conspiracy theory mode, those two things should be considered for inclusion into the DSM-5 or whatever for mental health, because both of them are mind viruses. They're mind viruses
Yeah.
that they literally like eat and infiltrate into your thoughts, into your thought pattern. So conspiracy theories kind of like is over here on the like right, but kind of like the right, like the little crazy right. And wokeism is like
Nowadays,
on
yeah.
the crazy kind of like left, like crazy left. So I think both of them are counterparts to each other, depending like with from each side. And I do think that both of them are, well, they're the, what is it, opposite sides of the same coin.
I
Sure.
agree.
And they can both wokeism and conspiracy theoryism can take over your mind and build, like we've talked about before,
Of course.
such strong fortresses that that with something is, whatever the information is, it's going to be changed in the hearer's mind and interpreted as either contributing to their conspiracy, or if it's against it, you're part of the conspiracy.
Well, it's like the confirmation bias that I brought up. Like you only look for details and consider something that's truth that confirms how you already have decided against an issue, instead of just being objectively factually based, right?
Yeah.
You're just saying, well, like either side of, like I said when I brought up, like the Democrat, well, I don't want to say that. Some people on the left will probably say that it's a conspiracy theory that he did this because Trump didn't look the best in his last debate, so he wants to get his numbers back up. But then you'll have people on the other side that'll say, well, this is some type of subplot that the Democrats did to try to get rid of Trump, so they don't have to worry about him getting elected. And I think it's what you said. They're two sides of the same coin in a way, but it's weird. Like, to me, none of it's factual. It's a delusion to me.
Yeah. And even
Sure.
if like the person does think something is going on, like from the point of thought to the point of planning something out to the point of actually doing it, is like, those are huge leaps.
I agree.
And
Climbing
it's like,
ladders.
what is going on? Like,
Climbing
a
ladders.
lot of these people, like, what is going on? And I haven't looked into a lot of the like school shooters and like things like that, but I'm not even sure if these people, if it's come out that like any of these people had a diagnosable mental health condition, right? And if not, if most of them did not, then I'm just gonna say that right now I have no idea what it is. But if I had to guess, I would say it's evil taking over their minds, like some type of evil, because their actions, whatever their thoughts are, their actions eventually bring about something evil, or I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, yeah, because people's ideologies or their beliefs can drive them to harm. These people are not crazy in the traditional sense. They are convinced to do this stuff through not even rational means. Like, it's not even like people laid out rational arguments for them. We've talked about that a lot in our show here. A lot of these people are convinced more through pathos, so emotion, and that is something that people need to be very careful of, because anything that bypasses the logos, the rational mind, can be weaponized very effectively and very easily. Plato talked about this. I think other philosophers did too, but that is why it's more prevalent in the modern era, that people can be kind of suggestible by.
I think it's always been that way. I would disagree with you. I don't think it's
more
prevalent in the modern era.
It hasn't always been that way, because
why not?
Because back in the day, 100 years ago, even men and women were both, I don't want to say well-read, like as Jesus. Don't you feel like this is a more general conversation, but the society, even as it depends how you want to categorize their measure the stats. Do we get smarter or do we get dumber as a generation? Like, I've seen videos, and I think we might have talked about this too.
That's such a broad question.
It's kind of broad. If you ask your average person if they know a very basic fact, they may not know that, but they know who the Kardashians are. You know what I mean? Like, so
I get that.
It's like, where does the knowledge actually kind of go to?
But I do also feel that knowledge is increasing, like, because we have the accessibility to knowledge on our phones, and it's like we're constantly having conversations and being like, let me look that up real quick. So
we can have more based conversations because of the access to knowledge that we have now, right? Because we can confirm what is fact and what is truth based upon having that knowledge in our hand. Now, I don't know if that,
or at least we can look up and see what information we find.
I think that's more accurate. And because there's no determination on what is fact and what is true. You have to use first principles, fundamentals, to determine what is fact and what is true.
I agree.
And
because even if you find that the information you're looking for, because you look it up, like, depending on the source of that information, it could be skewed.
Well, just like we were having a conversation about Nick Fuentes the other night on the phone, and like you looked up Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, but that was the wrong Nick Fuentes.
And it was the wrong Nick Fuentes.
I was like, he's Colombian.
She was like, he's Colombian. I'm like, I don't know about that. And then we had to, because I consider all of us pretty knowledgeable people. We had to kind of
deduce that that's
not the right one. But somebody
okay.
that maybe is not as smart, or maybe is not as well read or more investigative, would be like, oh, boo, 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 boo. And then, so,
well,
you have to make sure you're accessing the right accessible information. I hate to use the doubles, but sometimes it makes my point come across.
You got to do them sometimes. It's all right. So Trump was attempted assassination again. Very weird. Where there's the other case we wanted to explore today was the Colt Gray.
Yeah, I think that that's what we'll go into for our next segment.
Yeah. So we're good.
That's good. And it segues perfectly, because we're going to talk about gun violence and a shooting, and then we're going to talk about another topic. And it's not so much the topic itself of the shooting and us making a summary of it. It's more of like what, why does this happen and what is the philosophy behind it. So I think
that's a really good thing we need to explore.
Yeah.
Awesome. So all right, welcome back.
Let's go.
The next topic is this very weird shooting that happened in Georgia.
Tragic.
Yeah, this kid is accused of fatally shooting 2 students and 2 teachers at this high school in Georgia. His father, I'm paraphrasing here for multiple reasons, which, yeah. His father, Colin Gray, is also charged with involuntary manslaughter for providing the rifle. Investigators revealed the shooter's obsession with the shootings, including references to the 2018 Parkland shooting. Home life unstable, marked by domestic abuse, drug problems, and a custody battle between the parents. So we see some themes emerging here. What's really peculiar is why the father was charged. So this has been a strange case. The father was charged even though the son committed the crime. So the father provided the son with the rifle used in the shooting. The father had a history of keeping firearms in the house, and he gave the son the gun as a gift, a Christmas gift. Authorities believe that the father's actions contributed to the fatal outcome because he enabled the son to access the weapon. Apparently, he had troubling behavior and obsession with school shootings. Really weird case. It harkens back to the Crumbly case from up north, Michigan, Minnesota.
I believe it was Michigan. It was Jennifer and James Crumley were the parents that got charged in that case.
So it was a weird kind of circumstance. Where the parents are tied to their son's crime, and I don't know.
How do we feel about that? Like, is it right for him, the father, to be charged? I just want to hear like everybody's opinion about it, and like you can tie that into other different, I guess, takes or analysis. But how do we feel about that?
Well, law is based on morality. I know as much as the modern people like to dismiss that, it is based on morality. Morality is ancient. It is subjective, and the sins of the son are not based on the sins of the father.
I was going to bring that up.
The father are not based on the sins of the son. They really should not be tied, and especially in American jurisprudence, they're not connected unless the father explicitly told the son to commit acts of violence. If he did not, he should not be charged with this. As horrible as it is, I mean, that's crazy. That I don't know. I don't really have that much experience with these firearms, but it's kind of crazy that the father. I saw a video of the father taking the young kid hunting, and it seemed pretty benign and pretty similar to.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
To everything that like any person in the South that gets taken on. They get taken on hunting trips as a 13-year-old or something like that. That's pretty normal. The kids seem to be in control of the firearm. He seemed to be stable, well adjusted. I don't know. Who knows? It's a weird circumstance. So, yeah.
I guess my take, I do think the father should be charged, but I'm just not sure what crime. I don't know if he should be charged with actual I think he's being charged with involuntary manslaughter, correct? If I'm looking at the information right. I don't know if it should be to that degree, but I do think he holds some culpability in regards to this. I just don't know how we as a society decide on that degree.
Right.
And, it begs into question other topics, like, is it a lack of parenting? Is it a lack of education? Is it, and technically he broke the law because a minor should not be in a possession
Right.
of a gun, right? That's
I
illegal.
looked that up. No, it's not illegal.
It's not illegal?
No.
Okay.
I looked it up.
Okay.
We should, Calvin, can you look that up?
Yeah, can you look that up for us?
Look
Yeah.
up can a minor legally own a gun? That's
In
what
Georgia,
I had looked
because
up.
I think it's different.
Look it up. Yeah, in
it's
Georgia.
Different. It's different by the state law, right?
Good.
Yeah.
Yes. Good specific. Yeah. Can a minor own a gun in Georgia?
Georgia prohibits the possession or control of a handgun by any person under the age of 18.
Okay.
Oh.
That's
All right.
what I thought.
That change. Okay.
This does not apply if they're attending a hunter education course or a firearms safety course.
Okay. I didn't look up in Georgia. I looked up
Nationally, maybe?
I didn't even look up nationally. I said, look up, take that in Georgia and read what it says. Good call to look that up specifically.
There is no minimum age for owning shotguns or rifles. However, minors cannot legally own or possess a handgun.
See, so and he had what did he have? An
Had
AR.
A rifle.
So there's no minimum age for
Let's look that up.
Look up. Can a minor own what is it? A rifle in Georgia?
Yeah, an AR is just a rifle.
Okay,
so.
look that up specifically. Can a minor own an AR in Georgia?
Yeah, it's.
No. Okay, and that might change by state.
I think it does because I think, not to keep having things looked up. I think in Kentucky, I think minors can actually possess a rifle legally.
Okay. And I said own. Maybe the question is possess. I don't know, because the owner would be the legal adult, but he could be in possession of it legally. So maybe the question should be, can a minor possess a rifle in Georgia? But regardless, maybe it's no. If it's no, then let's go by the law. Then the person responsible would be the dad.
The father.
The dad. But like you said, what crime would he be charged with? Well, one, the crime of allowing him to possess a gun.
Contributing to minor delinquency?
No, the crime of allowing him to possess a gun.
Oh, okay, yeah,
because they can't possess a gun. So that would be the crime or whatever.
Yeah.
The second thing, though, is I think it depends on, I'm still forming my opinion on this, or I'm not actually sure, but I would lean more towards, like you said, the dad should be charged with something because if your kid is having emotional issues, bullying issues, mental health issues, if you don't know, you should know as a parent, right? So if he should have known. If he didn't, that's not a defense. That's your fault. As the parent, you should know. You should know.
Well, and his mom knew, right? Because the mom, I think, called the school.
Yeah. And so
let other people know.
And let other people know. If his mom that lives states away knows, the dad knows. And two, there is such a thing. Isn't there such a charge as accessory to a crime?
Yeah, for sure.
If anything, he should be charged as an accessory to a crime. And you can say, well, I didn't know. There are certain cases, just like in business, that if you do something that's illegal in business and you get caught and you actually get prosecuted for it, like kickbacks or something, like give me this contract and then I'll give you money, and the person can legitimately say, I didn't know that was illegal. It doesn't matter. In business, it doesn't matter. You should have known, right? You should have known.
I actually watched a YouTube video the other day. It's one of the police body cam YouTube channels, and there was a girl that she allowed a guy that owned a dog training business to operate out of her house, and he was basically defrauding his customers and was treating the animals bad. And so when they came to arrest her, she tried to claim what you said. She was like, "Oh, I didn't know."
That's not a defense.
And the police were like, "That's not going to work." And they even gave an example. They were like, "Well, let's look at it a different way. What if you had somebody selling drugs out of your house, but you weren't actually participating in the sales? You know, like ignorance is only what 9/10 of the law or something. Like you can only proclaim
1/10
or
of the law.
1/10 of the law." Yeah, I couldn't remember the quote. Thanks for
It
correcting
has
me.
to be a smaller percentage of the law, because if you can't claim I didn't know as a defense, it must not be worth anything.
Well, then
you
who
know,
would ever
like,
be charged for a crime? We could all say
exactly.
that,
We could
right?
all say that, and it's like, and truly, like some people really maybe wouldn't know, but it doesn't matter. It is your responsibility, especially with more rights come more responsibility. The more rights that you're given, the more it is your responsibility to know, you know, your responsibility with that right and how to operate within that. So yes, I do think that, I don't know, the question has been ongoing like that. Like you sent me something that was like, should the dad be arrested? Well, if somebody's going to be charged, I guess they have to be arrested. I don't know. But the real question is, should the dad be charged? If the dad has to be charged with something, he's an accessory to the crime. I don't know, it's not a defense. If it's illegal for a minor to possess a gun in Georgia, then he broke that law.
He contributed that,
Yeah,
and he's
then
the
he broke-
direct, conservator of his son's actions at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in that situation, like the I don't know, like going back to that as a parent, like
Sure.
he can't say I don't know. That's not a defense. I didn't know my son was having a mental health issue. Well, one, that's not a defense, but two,
No.
why not? How could you not know? Everybody, the mom who lived whatever away, you know when a child is having a crisis situation in their lives. And, the dad was just too lax, and he definitely should be charged with something. I don't know if it should be murder. He didn't commit the crime, but he was definitely,
Culpable.
I think
Yeah.
he was an accomplice in this situation.
Well,
I think he's saying at least he should be held. At least he should be held, culpable or responsible.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Actually, I think it shouldn't be as far as a degree of murder or like actually committing the act, but it's definitely a little bit more than negligence, which is what he's trying to say. Like
it's definitely more
and even
than
negligence can be a crime in certain ways. I think there's a negligent homicide in certain states.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know if it's in Georgia. When I
Yeah.
looked up the statutes earlier, I couldn't find a statute for negligent homicide, but I've heard that term used for, like I watched First 48, and I've seen people get charged with stuff like that. you
Yeah.
know?
Well, if the person that is living in your house, that is under your care, commits a crime, we're not talking about, okay, because we can talk about, what about drunk driving, the situation. There are certain
Mhm.
situations where like a parent can do everything they can do. Even in this situation, if he had done everything he could do and his son still got an AR-15 or whatever somehow, right? And he could show that he's done everything, and like when you're a good parent, right? Other people can vouch for you. Who
True.
are these other people? Their testimonies do hold weight,
I agree.
And so, and sometimes, and you have text messages or you have proof of like appointments that you've tried to make or taken them to, but and those things can be your defense. But in this situation, like, I don't think the dad's gonna have anything. And when you don't have anything, you don't have a defense. So like at this point, when the law is kind of loose right now and parents are starting to be tried for things, he might just fall into like, hey, we're going to experiment on you and you're going to be one of the Jennifer and James Crumley, and we're going to get you.
And well, even what you said, if you are that good parent that's very interactive within your child's life, at that point, would you introduce a gun to his hand? Like, even if it is part of like the customary traditions of like, my whole community, we all take our sons hunting. Well, if my son's got problems, he's going to have to be segregated from that activity. Like, bro, I'm sorry. Like, until we get you under control and figure out what's going on with you emotionally, internally, spiritually, however you
Yep.
want to classify it, you can't have a gun right now.
I don't know if I would still, like, if my son was having issues, like, I don't know if I would, like, go take him out hunting or stuff. I think I'd be kind of nervous to do it. But let's say I did, right? The thing is that, like, when you come home, that gun should be locked away.
Yeah, I agree.
Locked away.
I agree.
Right? And
Yes.
he was negligent. That man was negligent. And I'm telling you right now, if it's any of, if anybody say no, he shouldn't be charged, he shouldn't, okay, but if it was your kid, you would not be saying that. I don't care what your political affiliation is. If your kid is gone, you're not gonna be just like swiftly saying no, he shouldn't be charged, because that scares me for our freedom of rights in the future in the United States. And you wouldn't be thinking
Well,
about
that's what Jesse.
none of that.
Well, that's what Jesse Lee Peterson was trying to argue, though. Like,
Yeah,
he was
I
he was
know.
trying to argue, like,
Yeah.
it's
Sometimes
it's,
he
it's an
like
act- it's an
simplifies
act of-
things
yeah,
too
it's an act of
much.
evil. It's the evil Democrats that are trying to control your guns, and it's like there comes a point where like something is just objectively right or wrong, and we have to look at it outside of.
Or sometimes it's like, let's just stop like doing talking points right now and something that's serious, and maybe you will get to the same conclusion in the end, like the dad shouldn't be charged or whatever. But to right from the beginning get real political and say no, like it's a little callous, and it's not. I don't think it's being truly thoughtful about what's going on, and it's not being empathetic where you're actually putting yourself in that situation. Because let's say you don't have kids, right? But it could be your sister's kid one day, like you just have to be truly thoughtful about conversations like this. And when like you start being a parrot, like a talking points and just spewing that out, it's just like, yeah, you're a conservative, but you're an idiot. I'm sorry. I got to change this, because you're not even giving it any thought right now. You're not even if you're going to come to that same conclusion, like you're not putting in thought to a sensitive situation, especially a situation that involves kids, And I will say, I don't think this is a gun debate issue, though. I don't think it's a gun necessarily a.
It can be perceived as so, though.
It could be perceived, and I think that we could talk about stuff like that. But to automatically on the other side, for the other side to be like, well, this is why guns should be, this or taken away. I don't even know I don't think it's that either. At this point, it's too late to just be, taking people's guns away. But that AR-15, isn't that the rifle that's being used at all of these shootings? Like, is the AR-15, isn't that the AR-15 is like what that Ethan Crumbly, I think like the last few shootings that I've heard of, it's been the AR-15.
And at least I know for sure, there's I'm not a huge gun person, but they're ARs, which is
ARs,
which just means assault rifles, right?
But they're the ones that can like.
It doesn't. AR does not mean assault rifle.
What does it mean?
It's a brand, Armalite.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But they are the kind that you can just like shoot continuously, right? You can put a magazine in there and just shoot continuously.
No, those are just semi-automatics. That means that every time you press a trigger, one bullet comes out.
But the AR is what?
The same thing.
Oh.
Every time you press a trigger, one bullet comes out.
But you can keep pressing it without like, you can just go. What is special about the AR?
Not really that much more about. It doesn't really differentiate that much from a pistol.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's except that it's a more sophisticated weapon and the barrel is longer, so the bullet travels farther and it has a higher muzzle velocity.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so that makes the impact of the bullet.
And the bullet opens up or something and destroys all your tissue.
Yeah. So what's the difference between a semi-automatic and an automatic? Like I see these kids, they're talking about running around with switches, which is where you switch from a semi-automatic to automatic, which is what she says, where you can just hold it down and unlimited bullets as long as you have enough
There's
within the clip
you
come
can get
out.
modifications
Yeah.
to convert a semi-automatic into an automatic. Yeah.
Did that shooter in the first Trump assassination, what kind of gun was that? I know it was a rifle, but what was it?
I
An
thought
AR?
it was an AR-15.
Was it an
But I
AR-15
don't
too?
know.
I think it was. I can't recall.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
Calvin?
segue into like our
Can
topics.
you look that up?
Yes,
I'll look that up. But
because I remember somebody talking about ghost guns.
ghost guns?
Yeah, which is where they 3D
print guns.
3D print guns.
That's really
and
the-
like that was up in the news recently too.
Oh,
And I
really?
thought that was one of the talking points in the one of these recent shooting cases.
Yeah.
What kind of weapon was used in the first Trump shooting? Yeah.
Yeah, this led to good discussion and it related to our first topic too.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
but I agree with you. I think that father has to be held responsibly,
For
and I don't think it
something.
has to do with a partisanship issue. And I don't necessarily. I agree with you to a certain extent. I don't even think it's a gun control issue. It's more of a parenting issue, right? Like
It is.
it's a parenting issue.
Yeah.
And I
For
think
this
that's
issue,
the
yeah.
crux of the argument and the discussion, basically.
Yeah.
What,
It
Calvin?
was an AK-47.
An AK-47.
Okay.
Can you look
What-
up is an AK-47 semi-automatic or automatic?
It's.
It can be either.
I think so. Yeah.
You
You
can
can switch it,
modify
like
it.
what
You
I was
can
talking
Officially, it's
about.
modify.
automatic.
It's a fully
Yeah.
automatic setting, but it's illegal in the
Yeah.
US.
It's a Kalashnikov. Yeah.
Wow.
What kind
Yeah.
of gun did James Crumley use? What kind of weapon did James Crumley use?
I think he used
No,
an
Ethan
AK-47.
Oh, what did I say?
James Crumley.
Oh,
That's, I think
Ethan. James is the
he's
dad.
the dad.
Yeah.
Ethan Crumley.
hmm
What weapon did Ethan
That's-
Crumley use? Yeah. Well, I
don't
do
even know
think
what he
I
used.
do think it's a parenting issue.
I think with the ghost guns too, they can be broken down and hidden easier or something. That's why they're like law enforcement has their eyes on it.
You know, go ahead, Calvin.
A 9mm SIG Sauer handgun.
Oh, I
Oh,
know.
6
Yeah,
hour.
that's a
Oh, okay,
brand.
okay.
Yeah. I know what a 6 hour is. Yeah.
Mhm.
Have like
So he actually used a pistol, which is automatically illegal. It's illegal for any minor to possess or own a handgun, like nationally, right? Like,
oh,
you
is
know,
that what it said?
I
That's
think
what you read?
I think that's what he read earlier, I believe.
Well, I do think that we're never gonna get anywhere if we keep every time there's a shooting, everyone talks about gun control because each side is gonna go to their corner and they're
Mm.
gonna fight. I do think that yes, it's a mental health issue, but at the end of the day, when a when a minor is shooting up a school, it's first and foremost, I think, a parenting issue. It's
yeah.
a parenting issue.
Mhm.
And in like at least these last two, or like not these last two, the last one with James and Jennifer Crumley, we were able to see that those parents really failed their son. Their son was hurting and crying out for help. And and I'm saying this because I have a son. If he wouldn't even have to cry out for help, you have to watch your kids' micro expressions or non expressions in life. That's what a parent does. We are here to be guardians of our children and to teach them and protect them and to protect them from themselves because you're trying to keep your kid alive till he turns 18, and at the same time instill morals and values and get him help if he needs it. So if you like, that's how big of a responsibility it is to be a parent. So James and Jennifer Crumley, especially I think even Jennifer Crumley, like she was going to do that horse activity or whatever and cheating on her husband and doing like she was filling up her time with a bunch of stuff, everything except like, what about your kid? Your kid is hurting. Anyone can look at him. Probably any sub could have him for one day in class and be like, dang, that kid looks like something's going on with him.
Yeah.
How are you the parent and you're not doing everything in your power to get him help? because I'm not saying we have to be the ones to do the help, but we have to get them the help, you know? And so it's a parenting issue all the way. It's a parenting issue. And
For
I
sure.
think it's like just a lot of one, lazy parenting, and two, parents that like almost like don't have that maternal or paternal instinct. It has to be, because parenting is instinctual. You want to protect your kid, you want to look out for your kid, you're looking at your kid, you're right. But is there like either it's blunted. I'm not going to say they don't have a maternal or paternal, but for whatever reason, those instincts are blunted and it's affecting the kids, you know? Yeah, and off of that, you can say it's a bullying issue, mental health. All those things are true, but at the top, the umbrella is the parenting issue.
Yeah. Well, I think
Well,
it's-
good topic. I mean,
I think it's
yeah,
well
we all had.
said.
Did you
Yeah.
did you actually take a position? You said you think he should not be charged, right?
He said for the murder
For the
part,
murder.
because he didn't
Yes.
commit. Yeah,
Because
Okay.
yes.
but he
I
didn't
think he should.
say about what about the other. Do you think he should be
Do you
charged?
think the father should
for,
be charged or not? I just wanted to get
for
your take.
anything else?
My philosophy is much more rigid than others. I don't think that he should be. It's another conversation, but yes, I don't even think that even if he were to indoctrinate his kid and brainwash him into
Going to shoot up a school.
or to yeah,
You don't think he should be charged?
not with murder, but
No, not with murder. With anything.
With anything.
Yeah, with anything.
yeah, something. No, he should be charged with like manslaughter or
Oh, okay.
third degree or something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Dang, so we all
basically-
agreed? Is that like the first time in a way?
Yeah,
In
Yeah.
a way, like, yeah, I think we all kind of agree. You know, I don't know if it should be murder, but it's just because it's not murder doesn't mean that there can't be heavy charges.
Yeah.
You
no,
know?
of
Yeah, I
course,
don't
of
think
course.
I don't think it should be like direct murder, because it's not.
Yeah.
Murder demands premeditation, and I don't
Correct.
think that his
Correct, yes.
father had some type of plan to
Yeah.
use his kid, to weaponize his kid against those
Yeah.
victims in the school.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe something weird comes out, but just my
Right.
over analysis.
Something
right
weird
now,
could come out, but
Yeah.
over analysis
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
total negligence. But when people die, the negligence there has to be like specific charges.
I
You
agree.
know?
Yeah, I actually think we should explore this more in a future topic, because I think all this could be solved with enhanced security at the schools.
Oh, that's a good topic. We should talk
Solved,
about.
like solved. I think we could
Yeah.
keep our kids a lot safer. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
agree.
if you just had more security at schools, like you would at any other place.
You
a
know,
lot of-
my
a lot of
son's
this could be-
school
Do
now
you all have metal
has-
detectors?
Yes, now they do, as of this year. But you know what I was thinking about the other day?
Well,
And this is the last thing I'm going to say, because I know we're running over on the segment.
yes,
If I wanted to get into another door at his high school,
you can find it.
oh, I can get in another door.
A window, a door.
No, a door. I would have one of my like classmates be like, that I know goes in early. I'd be like, hey, open this side door for me, and I'm going to go in. It is too easy to go around. So unless those interior doors those doors are like the push door, you know, where they're like closed from the
Inside.
inside. But once school starts, if those
Anybody
doors,
on the inside
if the-
can grant access to anybody on the outside.
yeah, and me, I'm 100% confident I could get into any door.
Yeah.
Any door.
All right.
And that's little old me. Imagine like another
Mom.
student that's
Yeah.
like, that's the thing. It's like,
All
okay,
right.
but we're all guarding this door. And it's like, well, what about every other door? What's the plan for every other door? Making sure a student doesn't open the door, because another student could open that door for that other student with nefarious plans. That other student doesn't know he has nefarious plans. He's just like, well, he asked me to open the door for him, so I'm going to do it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it could be like, hey, I'm gonna be running late tomorrow, so look out for me. And
Look
open
out
that door
for me. Open that door for me.
for me. And really,
Yeah.
he's setting a whole plot in motion. But the innocent, naive student just like, oh, I'm just trying to help my friend out. You know,
Yeah.
which all kids and teenagers do, right?
Yeah.
They-
So this week when I was
Okay,
thinking
okay.
about the situation in that door, I was like, I'm gonna go to the PTSA meeting and ask them, what about the other doors?